The Gambler's Ruin Project, powered by Smart Bet AI technology. The Gambler's Ruin Project, where the odds get cracked. English Premier League Round 36. Welcome, listeners, to the show. Just a quick reminder, our predictions are AI-driven and meant for informational purposes only. Please gamble responsibly. Today we're featuring some exciting matches. Manchester United versus West Ham and Liverpool versus Arsenal.
All right, folks. First up, Manchester United hosting West Ham at Old Trafford. Kickoff is set for Sunday, May 11th at 2:30 p.m. BST, and it's looking like classic spring football weather. Partly sunny, about 72 degrees Fahrenheit, and just a light breeze. So no excuses from either side. It's all about the football.
Exactly, Anna. The pitch will be dry, the visibility perfect, and the wind won't be playing tricks with set pieces. This is one of those matches where form, fitness, and finishing are going to decide it, not the elements.
Speaking of fitness, let's talk injuries because wow, United are patching their squad together like a 2005 iPod with duct tape. Out of the lineup, Marcus Rashford, Diogo Dalot, Xerxes, and Lisandro Martinez.
That's a lot of muscle missing, and not just physically. Rashford's pace on the counter, Dalot's width, Xerxes' link-up, and Martinez, he's basically their backline brain. Without him, they're prone to the dreaded United wobble.
Exactly. And don't underestimate Dalot's absence. He's been one of their most consistent fullbacks this season. His delivery has been sharp, and now United might have to rely on Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which, let's be honest, is a very different style of play.
And West Ham isn't walking into this unscathed either. Michael Antonio's out again. Surprise, surprise, with a calf issue. Add in Edson Alvarez, Aguerd and Somerville, all dealing with knocks. That's structural damage across midfield, defense and attack.
Yeah, Antonio missing is like taking the engine out of a freight train. He might not be scoring every week, but he's the chaos factor. And Aguerd's absence weakens their backline's aerial control, which is dangerous against United on corners.
And don't sleep on Somerville's absence either. He's been one of their most creative dribblers this season, and without him, West Ham could get a little too predictable going forward.
All right, now let's talk data. The Poisson model is projecting a goal fest here. Manchester United at 1.87 expected goals, and West Ham actually edging them at 2.02 XG.
That's a red flag and a green light, all in one. Red flag if you're a United fan, because you're at home and still predicted to concede more. Green light if you're a neutral looking for goals, and maybe goals both ways.
And that's backed up by our 10,000 run Monte Carlo simulation. West Ham win 44.5%, United win 34.8%, and the draw sits around 20.6%.
Which honestly is a bit shocking. We're at Old Trafford and West Ham are the more likely winners. Feels like we've stepped into a parallel universe.
Yeah, but this isn't Ferguson's fortress anymore. It's Ten Hag's tactical lab experiment, and some weeks the chemistry just explodes. Also, West Ham loves playing the spoiler.
Most likely scorelines. We've got 1-2 at 8.2%, 1-1 at 7.8%, and 2-1 at 7.2%. That spread is telling. It's not about blowouts, it's about margins, small ones.
And if you needed more uncertainty, check this out. All 4 of our major AI models are calling this one a draw.
And you know what else it screams? Chaos. These models are trained on thousands of data points. Form, XG, ELO, injury load, market odds, and still they can't split the difference with confidence. Yep, Random Forest, XG Boost, MLP Neural Net, and the stacked ensemble, they all landed on the middle ground, which to me screams don't touch the money line unless you like volatility.
So, what do we do with this data? I mean, high volatility, overlapping injuries, tight expected goals. It's a bettor's minefield.
Absolutely. If you're looking for a slam dunk bet, this isn't it. But that doesn't mean there's no angle. Here's what I'm watching. West Ham win. If the odds creep above 3.5, starts to become value. Over 2.5 goals is solid, given the combined expected goals of 3.89. Both teams to score would be another option if it's priced below 1.80.
And don't forget risk management. This is a perfect game to apply the 2% bankroll rule or even less. I'd personally cap exposure here. It's not a match to build a weekend parlay around.
So we're calling this one a high-risk, high-reward kind of fixture. Bet smart or don't bet at all. Enjoy the fireworks without needing to light your bankroll on fire.
And remember, in matches like this, walking away is also a strategy. If the data says chaos is coming, sometimes the best play is no play.
Exactly. Let's not be the person who bet their rent on a West Ham counter-attack. That's not betting, that's fan fiction.
Before we dive into our second match, we want to take a moment to reflect on a story that shaped not just a club, but the soul of football itself.
February 6, 1958. The date of the Munich air disaster. A tragedy that took the lives of 23 people, including 8 players from one of the most promising teams England had ever seen.
Manchester United's Busby Babes, a fearless, homegrown squad assembled by manager Sir Matt Busby, were returning from a European Cup tie in Belgrade. Their plane stopped in Munich to refuel. After 2 failed takeoffs, the third ended in catastrophe.
It wasn't just players. Coaches, journalists and crew members were lost. The football world was stunned. And yet amidst the wreckage, a few survivors emerged. Among them, Bobby Charlton, Harry Gregg and Busby himself, though badly injured.
Imagine the emotional weight. A club shattered, grieving, and yet somehow, with the guidance of assistant Jimmy Murphy and eventually Busby's return, they kept playing. United finished that season. They showed up. They endured.
And then a decade later, in 1968, they did the unthinkable. Manchester United, rebuilt from sorrow and scars, lifted the European Cup at Wembley Stadium, beating Benfica 4-1 in extra time.
Bobby Charlton, one of the crash survivors, scored twice that night. It wasn't just a win, it was a resurrection. A triumph not just for United, but for resilience, for football, and for all who had been lost in '58.
That victory wasn't just a trophy. It was closure. It was defiance. It was Busby lifting silverware with tears in his eyes and ghosts on his shoulders.
And to this day, Old Trafford still echoes with remembrance. The Munich clock, the memorial plaque, the chant, "We'll never die."
Let that serve as a reminder to all of us. Football is more than goals and wins. It's memory, it's unity, and sometimes it's healing.
All right, now that we've paid our respects, let's switch gears and look ahead to another clash with legacy written all over it. Liverpool versus Arsenal. Let's get into it.
All right, folks, next up, it's a clash of titans at Anfield. Liverpool versus Arsenal, Sunday afternoon, and this one's got all the ingredients for drama.
Big names, big stakes, and big gusts of wind. Seriously, we're looking at 29 miles per hour gusts, which might not sound like much unless you're trying to ping a 60-yard switch to the far post.
Or unless you're Darwin Núñez trying to head a cross in and the ball ends up in the Mersey instead. Windy days at Anfield are sneaky dangerous for defenders and goalkeepers.
Right. And speaking of danger, Arsenal's squad is looking more patched up than my iPhone screen. Let's run through the roll call of absentees. Gabriel Jesus, Havertz, Jorginho, Calafiori, Tomiyasu. That's almost enough to start a decent mid-table side on its own.
It's brutal. That's defensive stability gone with Gabriel, midfield grip missing with Jorginho, and attacking depth hollowed out with Havertz and Jesus both out. I mean, who's their plan B? Rob Holding in disguise.
Hey now, no Holding slander. He's probably at Crystal Palace planning his next YouTube vlog. But seriously, Arsenal's press without Havertz and Jesus is going to look a little toothless.
Let's hit the numbers. SmartBet AI's Poisson model is giving us a razor-tight prediction. Liverpool 1.79 goals, Arsenal 1.67. So basically, a knife fight in data form.
And when we ran the bootstrapped Poisson simulation, which gives us that lovely volatility profile, it came back with expected goals of 1.76 for Liverpool and 1.69 for Arsenal. 5-goal upper bounds on both sides. That means chaos is on the table.
And the Monte Carlo simulation, 10,000 match scenarios later, we get Liverpool win 42%, draw 36.2%, Arsenal win 21.8%, which feels fair, honestly. Arsenal's injuries are dragging their win chance down.
Most likely scorelines are just as tight. 1-1, 9.1%, 2-1 Liverpool, 8.9%, 1-2 Arsenal, 7.9%. So not much between them, but slightly leaning red.
Yep, Anfield edge, slightly better fitness and possibly more wind-resistant haircuts. I'd take that.
Now here's where things get interesting. Our AI models are split like a VR decision at full zoom. Random forest, draw, XG boost, draw, MLP neural net, draw. But the stacked ensemble, which combines all of them and weighs their accuracy, leans Liverpool win.
Which makes sense. Stacked models tend to be more confident when there's a slight lean across the base predictions. Arsenal's absentees might just tilt the balance.
Exactly. And Anfield isn't exactly a friendly holiday destination. It's more like a haunted house, especially for weakened squads. That atmosphere alone wins you 0.3 expected goals.
Let's talk strategy. The books might favour Liverpool, but is there value here?
Depends on how sharp your sportsbook is. If the draw is priced at 3.3 or higher, that's probably your best option. The data suggests this could easily be another cagey, one-each kind of match.
And don't overlook BTTS, both teams to score. Given the XG totals and expected volatility, both teams finding the net feels likely, especially if Liverpool's highline gives up another chance on the break.
And if you're feeling brave or reckless, over 2.5 goals has legs too. This could either be a chess match or one of those 3-2 classics where nobody knows how to defend in the last 15 minutes.
But let's be clear, this is a small stake game. Between Arsenal's injury puzzle and the swirling wind at Anfield, there are just too many unknowns to go heavy.
And as always, 2% rule. Don't stake your bankroll on guessing whether Martin Odegaard can outrun the wind.
Final thought. If you're watching this game with no bet, you're still a winner. This one's got the vibes, the stakes, and enough data noise to make your Excel sheet cry.
Well said. All right, let's wrap it up with some closing thoughts and look ahead to next week's fixtures.
And that brings us to the all-important final whistle, our wrap-up and recommendations. Let's take a step back and zoom out.
Chaos. Right, we've just covered 2 Premier League heavyweight showdowns. And you know what ties both of them together?
Okay, fair. But more specifically, variance. High variance. These matches are data roller coasters, tight margins, thin edges, and just enough uncertainty to keep smart bettors humble.
In both fixtures, Manchester United versus West Ham and Liverpool versus Arsenal, our AI models show narrow expected goal differences, small expected goal margins, and models that refuse to pick sides with confidence.
That's exactly right. When your random forest, XG boost, and MLP all say draw, and your Monte Carlo simulation gives no outcome more than 45% probability, you're looking at games where a deflected corner or a missed penalty could decide everything.
And that's not where you go throwing your bankroll around. These aren't sure things. They're more like calculated coin flips.
Our models, especially for the Liverpool versus Arsenal clash, are all leaning draw. And that brings us to the consensus.
Especially when one side is injury-riddled and the other plays with calculated control like Liverpool. When elite teams face off, they often cancel each other out. Which, for a high-profile match with 2 elite sides, makes perfect sense.
Draws in big matches are like VR reviews. They pop up when you least want them, but you're never shocked. Plus, we've got wind, we've got fatigue, we've got tactical conservatism with so much on the line.
So let's talk best bets, because while there's no clear slam dunk this week, we've still got 2 angles that carry value without recklessness.
This one's all about value versus risk. If your sportsbook is offering 3.3 or better on the draw in this game, it's worth a small stake.
All 3 base AI models predicted a draw. Monte Carlo simulations show a 36.2% chance. Most likely scoreline, 1-1. That's not just theory, that's model agreement across multiple systems. And that kind of consensus on a high-priced market like the draw, rare.
Just remember, this is a small bet zone, not a place to double down. But for value seekers, this is a smart, disciplined move.
Okay, this one is a bit spicier. Hear me out. If you're looking for entertainment value and smart positioning, the over 2.5 goals market in the United West Ham game has legs.
Combined XG 3.89. Multiple most likely scorelines are 2-1, 1-2, 2-2. West Ham are projected favorites in the sim, but United are still scoring at home.
Plus, both defences are weakened by injury. Martinez is out for United, Aguerd and Alvarez missing for West Ham. You've got attacking quality, shaky backlines, and a match that could swing either way.
And when the predicted range for goals stretches to 5+ in the bootstrapped Poisson model, you're not betting on an outlier, you're aligning with the data.
Look, if this week teaches us anything, it's that not every match is a green light. These are data-balanced fixtures, high potential, high variance, low certainty.
So what do? We pick our spots. We lean into value, not instinct. We manage bankroll. And we let chaos play out while keeping control of our own outcomes.
2 bets, 2 small edges, 1 goal. Stay in the game long term. That's the gambler's ruin philosophy. Never bet for excitement. Bet for value, or not at all.
All right, that's it from us this week. Keep it disciplined, keep it data-driven, and may your weekend be full of goals, not regrets.
And hey, if both games end 0-0, we'll be back next week to rage at the data gods together.
See you then. And remember, bet smart, bet safe, and stay ahead of the line.
Yeah, we say it every week, but it bears repeating. Bankroll management is your defense, your midfield, and your keeper. You want to last the full season. Stick to the 2% rule.
That means never risk more than 2% of your total bankroll on a single bet. If your bankroll is £500, your bet size should be no more than £10. No matter how confident you are, no matter how sure the edge looks.
This rule isn't about limiting your potential. It's about keeping you in the game when the variance monster shows up. Because over the long run, it's not about winning one weekend. It's about surviving every weekend.
And let's be real. If your bet size doubles every time you lose, you're not betting anymore. You're playing Russian roulette with your wallet.
Now, looking ahead to next week, we've got some tasty fixtures on the horizon. Think top 4 implications, relegation scrambles, and a couple of revenge matches that could light up the betting markets.
Yep, we'll be previewing matches like Brighton versus Liverpool, Leicester City versus Ipswich Town, and possibly a deep dive on whether Brentford are actually a data darling, or just riding variance.
Ooh, Brentford fans better buckle up.
And hey, if you found today's insights helpful, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and share the pod with your friends. The more smart bettors in the world, the better for the game.
And remember, AI isn't gospel. It's not here to tell you the future. It's a tool, a really powerful, statistically grounded tool, but not a crystal ball.
Exactly. Think of it like this. AI gives you the map, but you decide the route. You still need to consider matchups, motivation, lineup news, and your own risk tolerance.
And if betting ever stops being fun, please step back. Gambling should never feel like stress, pressure, or desperation.
If you or someone you know needs help, there are people ready to talk. In the US, call the National Problem Gambling Helpline at 1-800-522-4700. In the UK, visit begambleaware.org or call 08088020133.
Betting is a game, not a lifestyle. Keep your stakes low, your mindset sharp, and your weekends full of football joy, not financial regret.
That's all from us this week. We'll be back with more AI-powered breakdowns, smart betting angles, and enough banter to get you through even the driest 0-0 draw.
Until next time, bet smart, stay disciplined, and may your data always edge the odds.
See you next week, legends. Stay sharp.
Disclaimer. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. The predictions and insights provided by the Gambler's Ruin Project, powered by SmartBet AI technology, are generated using statistical models and historical data. These predictions do not guarantee outcomes and should not be considered financial or legal advice. Gambling can be addictive. Please bet responsibly and only wager what you can afford to lose. If you or someone you know is struggling with gambling addiction, seek help from professional support services. Legal notice. This content does not constitute an offer to participate in gambling. The Gambler's Ruin Project does not operate as a bookmaker or betting service and does not encourage gambling. All users are responsible for complying with local laws and regulations regarding sports betting and gambling-related content in their respective jurisdictions. The Gambler's Ruin Project, where the odds get cracked.